working for someone else on someone else's dream just feels less fulfilling. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't, no.
No,
Oh, okay. If I don't keep working, then this will all go, or like I'll lose it. And then it started to feel really bad because I wasn't creating necessarily what I wanted to create. I was creating what I thought others would want to see.
1, 2, 3, let's switch this up.
Hi, my little honeys. Welcome back to my channel. We are having Laura here on my channel, and I'm so excited to be having her here. Laura Ramoso is an actor and award-winning comedian. Originally from Italy and Germany, Laura moved to Canada in 2013 to obtain a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theatre from the University of Victoria. In 2017, she moved to Toronto to pursue her career in comedy. At the same time, an MBA in Entertainment Management from the Schulich, right? Schulich? Yeah. School of Business. She wrote and performed her first special, Diane, which granted her the Best New Show of the Year award at Bad Dog Theatre, and it became the first solo show ever to win the 2020 Toronto Sketch Comedies Festival Best of the Fest award. During the pandemic, Laura began making her short-form sketch comedies for Instagram and TikTok. This made her social media explode to almost 500,000 followers. If you have seen her on TikTok and Instagram, you would have seen her amazing characters like German mom, Italian dad, girl who just got back from ... series.
Laura, come, we are going to clean out your closet. Oh, how many clothes do you have? Oh no, this is too short. Are you 5 years old? This, I can see through it. You have so many clothes and none of them are good. It is shocking. I am shocked. Oh, a book. You are reading? This you have to keep for interviews. This you have to keep for interviews. This is a smart briefcase. Good for interviews. Stasera cosa mangiamo? Stasera cosa si mangia? Cosa mangiamo? Faccio da mangiare io? Cosa volete? Pollo, carne, tortellini in brodo? Tu cosa vuoi? Vuoi la carbonara? Facciamo il pollo. Manca l'aglio. Vado a comprare l'aglio. Ho comprato l'aglio. Metti via. Adesso tutti fuori che cucino. Via, via. Chiudi la porta. Non c'è mai nessuno che mi aiuta qui. A tavola! A tavola! Oh! A tavola! A tavola! A tavola! A tavola! Julie! Just reading my book. Did we go here? No. See. I mean, yes, I did meet a man. He let me ride on the back of his car. It was a taxi. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the tile.
Laura, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you on my channel. How are you today?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me.
So Laura, tell me, what is about comedy that you love very much?
I would say generally, there's a lot of things I love, but I love the most that comedy is like an equalizer. You know, it brings people together. It has people laughing and relating to each other. And I think it's a very human thing to enjoy comedy together. That's probably what I love the most about it.
So in your work in comedy, how do you come up with like your improv? Like, where does it all begin?
Most of my concepts, I would say like 99% come from real world observations, like people I see on the street or situations I've personally experienced or been in. Just like the more normal day-to-day life it is, the more I think it's ripe for comedy. And there's so many funny things about just the normal lives we lead every day.
You know what? I can picture you sitting on the streetcar and you see this very interesting character on the streetcar and you're like, let me write this one down here.
That's exactly how it goes. Like the more I spend time out in the world, the more inspired I get. Parties, streetcar, the supermarket, just full of inspiration.
I've been to your shows and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But one of your shows you talked about and being a tall girl. Has being like tall had a negative impact in your life and in the industry for you? Is this something that you've been typecasted or struggled with in the industry?
Definitely. I mean, I'm 6'1", which is tall for a woman for sure. And it just really limits the kind of roles that, you know, my agent would put me up for. And that's the feedback that I get a lot too, is that casting directors are like, oh, she's too tall. I mean, it makes sense because you wouldn't want, if it were this, you know, heteronormative like relationship thing, for the woman to be taller than the man. So I do a lot of, in normal acting work, like I'll do like fantasy stuff, and where the height of the character is like an important part of the character's life. But honestly, this is why I love comedy so much, because you can be anything. It doesn't matter what you look like. You can play any character you want, especially self-produced comedy, because I'll just do whatever I want. It used to bother me a lot more, but now I really embrace it. It makes me who I am, you know.
Do you find that because of you using it in your shows and in your comedy, that because you are embracing it, this really almost allows you to like heal that part, I guess, in a way?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I used to want to be different, you know, growing up and stuff, being a little bit more insecure, but now I really wouldn't change it. It just, I do a lot of physical comedy, and it really informs that. And I've just learned how to use my body to my benefit.
So, about your shows, starting a show is a lot of work. I want to know your process. How did this start? What is the process of you even creating your shows, and like you choosing the different cities? Like all of that all comes together. So I would love to hear about that.
Yeah. So it comes together really slowly at first. I start to think like what I'd want it to look like, how I'd want it to feel. The main thing actually is, because it takes so long to book a theater, or you have to do it so far in advance, is booking a space and then thinking like, okay, I have this space. How am I fitting this onto that space? And then acquiring all the logistics, like acquiring a director and everything. But it takes a long time, especially putting the content together. It's very step by step, brick by brick. And it's a process until opening night. Like you don't know how it'll go. So I was writing or changing things up until opening night.
You're essentially doing this on your own. You didn't have a stage manager or anything like this. Like you were essentially the one person for everything.
I am the producer. I did have a director and a lighting and sound designer who were massively helpful. But yeah, I'm producing the whole thing.
Very fun, very interesting. So Laura, this is more so for I have a couple of subscribers who talk about comedy and how they're interested, specifically in Toronto. If you're new to the scene, you're new to comedy, where do you begin?
That's a really good question. I think most comedians would say, and I agree with this, the best way to start is to join a class. This is a low risk environment where you can just see how it feels to do this kind of comedy in a place where you can quote unquote fail, and it doesn't matter because everyone's in the same boat and you have an instructor. And then slowly, if you like it, like you might not even like it. So joining a class is a great way to figure that out. Slowly, you like take more classes, and then step by step, you might like do an open mic or join an open jam and continue your journey through there. But step one, join a class, biggest tip.
With that being said, then in terms of classes, do you believe that you need to attend like a specific school in order to be able to do, good comedy in improv? Or do you think classes is enough? Do you believe like a conservatory is helpful, useful, or just, the good plain old classes is the way to go?
I think it's definitely helpful, but not necessary. I think classes, like individual classes, are just as good and more focused if you already know what you want to do.
So, Laura, have you ever dealt with a creative funk? And if yes, how do you deal with it?
Yes. There comes a point sometimes where I burn myself out, and then the thought of writing something or making a video or performing makes me like nauseous. And then that's kind of the indication that something is like, okay, I'm starting to burn out. Taking an actual break is what gets us over this, but it's the hardest thing to do because you think if I don't keep working, then this will all go, or like I'll lose it. But actually taking a break, and not just a small break, but actually like a couple of days completely off.
I totally agree with you. I've gone through so many of my own creative funks myself. And recently, actually, I was just thinking like Christmas break is coming up, and I usually they say that Christmas is huge for YouTube because of Vlogmas and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, no, I really like this 2 weeks of Christmas and then the week right before New Year's. I just want to shut myself off, I really need to take myself off. And it was a big decision because it's the same thing. I thought, oh God, if I stop, will my YouTube stop being pushed by the algorithm? And you're right, as a content creator, you're not, nobody's there to tell you what your day's off. It's all onto you and yourself. So It's a lot of work to be able to kind of dictate what's right and wrong for yourself. And I've actually had some interesting conversations with other content creators where they've actually received like negativity from people being like, how dare you take the time off during holidays?
Yeah, truly. I think a lot of it comes from the idea that like creating content, it doesn't maybe sometimes present as work for certain people. And so the idea of taking a break from that is like, oh, but that's like play.
Yeah. So in terms of social media, Laura, like, do you believe that because you're really influential on TikTok and social media and like Instagram, when you started doing this on social media, did you sit down and like research all the ins and outs and how social media works? Or did you just say, you know what, I'm just going to put it out there and see what happens?
Definitely both. I think at the beginning I was trying to figure out what TikTok was and what Instagram was, and like I was not gonna lie, like really concerned with the algorithm and really concerned with views and likes and stuff like that. And I found that I was editing myself and the kinds of things I would make based on those things, and then it started to feel really bad because I wasn't creating necessarily what I wanted to create. I was creating what I thought others would want to see. And that was a process of trying to get over that. That took a while, but eventually it happened. It was a simultaneous, like, I'm just throwing stuff at the wall, but also I really care about it doing well. And I have since let that go. It was only when I started to really just do what I wanted to do. And after having figured out all how to film a video and how to edit it and what my style was, that I really found like my rhythm.
And your Italian dad and German mom, is this something that you started right away on like, social media with, or is this something that through trial and error of different videos, you've grown into doing those characters?
I grew into those. I started posting videos early 2021, and I didn't post my first German mom until the fall.
Side note for my subscribers that may not be aware, so Italian dad and German mom is actually like an inspiration from Laura's parents. And so my question is, how do your parents feel about you doing almost like, a very hyphenated version of who they are?
They enjoy them. They enjoy them. They send them to their friends and everything. And I think at first I had to like have a talk with them about the fact that these are two-dimensional like depictions of them. It's not necessarily them how they are every day. It's more like you take a little characteristic or behavior and explode it. So at first, my mom, I think when the first German mom video went really viral, she was like, oh my God, these people are laughing at me. And it was a conversation of like, no, actually, these people are laughing with us. Like they love this character and, they love the things that she says and stuff like that. They're since then just, I think, really happy and really proud of the videos. They enjoy them.
Yeah. Do you believe, Laura, that there is a huge difference in improv sketch comedy with stand-up comedy?
Yes. Improv comedy is improvised on the spot. So not prepared in any way. It's just two or more people improvising scenes or whatever form they decide to do on the spot, on stage, in front of an audience. Stand up and sketch are similar in the way that they are not improvised. I mean, there can be improvised elements, but they're typically pre-written. Jokes are tested and performed in front of an audience. And then the difference between sketch and stand-up is that stand-up is typically a comedian speaking into a microphone as themselves. I'm Laura, these are my jokes and observations, that kind of thing in my voice. And then sketch is a comedian presenting their jokes and observations through characters.
And who or what do you get your inspiration from? Is there like a comedian that you really look up to that helps you inspire your own art, or maybe perhaps you really enjoy where their career has gone, that you'd want to have that career as well?
I am always really impressed with comedians who work really hard, and you can tell who put a lot of time, especially in online content and like editing. Like you tell the difference between like just like a very casual sketch that has been put on versus something that's really taken a lot of time. Like Matteo Lane is a comedian I look up to because he is constantly doing live shows and like selling out everywhere, just doing such a great job, but also repurposing his content to online. And it's always very inspiring to see. And then the bigger names that I enjoy are Ben Schwartz. He's an improv comedian based out of the States who does improv shows like for for the masses, which is so rare for improv to be like a 2,000 seat theater type. I also enjoy the Improvised Shakespeare Company out of LA. That's like one of the best shows I've ever seen. But just, it's inspiring to watch people and comedians working really hard and just keep putting themselves out there.
Would you ever do stand-up comedy yourself?
I tried it once early on, but to be honest, I really enjoy presenting my ideas through characters. I think I feel most uncomfortable when I'm addressing an audience as myself. So I don't think so.
You're like, nope, not for me. Thank you so much.
I really respect it. I think it's so hard. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't. No.
I hear you. It's not for everyone. Stand up is a beast of its own, and so is improv and sketch. And, you know, that's more sort of where you want to go to. So, Laura, before you kind of went full time into the comedy, you had a 9-to-5 job before this. What was the transition for you into leaving that and then going into comedy full time? Was it a hard shift? Did you kind of feel a lot of weird changes? So, yeah.
So I was doing videos and started to make an income and got a social media agent while I was still working my 9-to-5. So it was kind of like a by day, by night kind of lifestyle, which was really busy, like too much. But I just wanted to kind of get to a point in the comedy stuff where I was like, okay, I'm going to be self-sufficient. Like I wanted to be safe, quote unquote, in that before quitting the 9-to-5. So I got to a point where I was like doing the two things full time before I was like, okay, I can do without the 9-to-5. I mean, yeah, the 9-to-5 was a day job. It was something that I did for income mainly. So it was not hard to leave it. Something to enjoy about it was that I could leave it at the door at 5 o'clock. Like I didn't even think about it after because it wasn't my company or like my heart and soul. I was just working for someone else. And this is like the complete opposite. Like my whole heart and self is intertwined with my income and my job, which is a little more, it's a different kind of challenge because you're like, I can never stop. I can never take a break. This is like my whole life, but I will never, hopefully, oh my God, I hope to working for someone else on someone else's dream just feels less fulfilling. When you're full-time comedian / self-employed, is you're your own boss and you have to deal with different kinds of problems, but I would take those over the drudge of the 9-to-5 any day because I really feel like this is what I'm meant to be doing. It took a while to adjust to the lifestyle, but I think I'm there now, and it's been I'm really lucky and I'm really, really grateful.
Do you ever get nervous before your shows? And if yes, how do you deal with it?
I get nervous every time. I get so nervous. But it's an indication. I've reframed it in my head. It's just an indication that I care a lot and I want it to go well, which is a positive thing. What I do to make sure that I'm all right is that I like run the show in my head and I just speak the show during the day just to make sure that I like, even though I've done it a million times, I just want to have the lines fresh in my mind and like the moments fresh in my mind. And I'll like get ready, make sure that I feel energized and eat well and sleep well. But before every show, around 10 minutes before it's time to go on, I'll do like a little meditation. I'll just, after I've warmed up and put on my makeup and costume, I'll just go lie down, ideally lie down in like a dark room and just do my mantras. I speak out like, you can do this, you are capable, you are strong enough. It just gets me into that like calm headspace.
Laura, so I know you did acting, and I was just curious where your head is at with acting now, film and television, because I know you're really involved in social media and in the comedy of sketch and improv. Where does the acting stand? Where do you see it happening for you?
I'm still just doing auditions and I just filmed something the other week, but it's very much like the way I see it is that my comedy, like that's priority number one for me. And I think the way I see myself potentially working in acting in the future is if somebody sees my comedy and then uses that in a project. Like, I don't know if I see myself cold calling auditions. I don't know, but I predict it may be intertwined with like what I already do.
I'm guessing with intertwined with what you do, like being in in comedy films, I guess, doing that kind of stuff, like it being in sort of that world, I guess.
I think so. Yeah. Unless somebody sees my type in a different kind of project.
What advice can you give for other beginner industry professionals?
Something that I look back on is that there's so many things that feel bad at first. Like putting yourself out there feels so scary and can feel so bad. And like bombing a show feels awful, and doing, bad in a class feels bad. And I think it feels worse than, for example, you've been in situations at school or whatever where you did bad on a test or an essay or, and that feels bad. But like being an entertainer or like an actor or performer, you're putting your physical self and emotional self open in front of everyone to see. And when that quote unquote fails, which it's natural that it does at the beginning, it feels especially bad.
Yeah.
And I would say my biggest advice is to just take it in waves, accept that that's something, it's going to feel uncomfortable for a lot of the time at first, and to just keep going, keep fighting through that.
I love that. I think that is really something big that a lot of people, especially in our day and age, can resonate with, that of just not giving up and really keep pushing through, because this industry will throw, oh my God, so many things at you.
And sometimes I think everyone who I look up to in the industry who has quote unquote made it or whatever has never given up. And everyone feels bad. Like it happens to everybody. You have to go through it.
So, Laura, I have one question for you left. Where do you see your career in the next 5 years? What is your sort of plan?
One thing is I'll keep making videos. But secondly, touring the show and performing live as much as possible in as many cities and countries as I can is definitely a huge goal. And that would start, I think, in Europe, because I already have citizenship there, but the States when I'm able to get a visa, but just like showing face and just doing shows as much as I can, meeting as many people as I can is definitely a huge goal. And then writing more, creating pitches and packages to write in film and television would be, specifically television would be a big goal for me.
I love that. I had no idea that you were interested in like creating like pitches and stuff. That's really, really incredible. Good for you. Okay, Laura, we're going to play our little game. So it's very quick. Basically, I'm going to ask you this or that, and you have to answer very quickly, right on the spot. What do you prefer out of these things that I ask? Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Candy or chocolate?
Candy.
Ice cream or gelato?
Ice cream.
Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Salty snack or sweet snack?
Salty.
Morning or nighttime?
Morning.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Glass of wine or cocktail?
Cocktail.
Top 2 comedians that you are watching right now?
George, Jennifer Coolidge.
That's it. You're good.
Oh, okay. Those are great.
Thank you for that. I wanted to do a little game just to keep you on your toes, Laura, thank you a million times for doing this. I am so excited that I got a little chat with you and get to know you better, and to also have you on my channel. If you have not seen Laura, I'm like, what are you doing, guys? Come on. I will link down everything about Laura, her website, her TikTok, Instagram. Please check out her work. She's very incredible in what she does. And honestly, take some inspiration from this person, because I've taken inspiration from Laura and some of her comedy and the way she does her work. I think it's brilliant. And so I'm happy to have you on my channel.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always such a joy to see your content pop up on my feed. And I'm inspired by the way you do your work always. And I really appreciate you having me on. This has been so nice.
Of course, honey, always. I'm gonna end us now. Perfect. Bye, Laura. Thank you.